this episode is dedicated to a social initiative which I'm sure many of you have seen across your social feeds or from local news outlets over the last week. So I'm joined by Paul Morgan, who's responsible for establishing the Kit It Out campaign in 2019, as well as the recent push to raise funds for Everton murals to be painted across Liverpool city centre. We'll see how this works, Paul, but we'll start with the Everton specific campaign as a segment for Grand Old Team. And then I guess we can go into Kit It Out afterwards, just for my independent podcast.
Okay.
Well, firstly, thank you very much for joining me. It's great to have the chance to talk, and I guess you can tell the people much better than I can who you are, the background for what you're doing, and what the process has been like.
So I'm Paul from Kit It Out. So what the plan was, we're Kit It Out, there's me and Michelle involved, and it was an initiative set up in Liverpool to get kits out, Liverpool and Everton kits. But right now, what I'm doing anyway, my personal thing is pushing this Everton mural to go up in the city centre or surrounding areas to the city centre. Liverpool have got a few going up now. They're very good. I mean, you see kids getting photos took with them, and it's a good thing to see young kids looking up to the Liverpool heroes on big walls. So I just thinking, I don't know why we can't have Everton ones in the city as well for young Evertonians to look up to. I mean, there's a few around Goodison Park which people have showed me, and used to be a big Dixie Dean one by Goodison where they used to live. But besides that, you don't really see Everton ones getting put up. And obviously Liverpool is successful at the minute, but I just don't see why we can't put Everton ones up as well, because we've got great players and legends also.
Most definitely. And I think this is a pretty hot topic at the moment, to be fair, because I was on an Everton podcast recently, and this got brought up, Everton's presence within the city centre and the L1 area, and pretty much the general consensus was that there needs to be a lot more done around L1 and the surrounding areas. And I'm guessing this is a viewpoint that you share. I mean, as you say, Liverpool are going through a spell of being tremendously successful, and we don't need reminding that we haven't won a trophy since '95. But even during this lockdown, I went through like a rabbit hole of revising our history again, and we are certainly a really unique club in regards to where we stand in English football, with some absolutely, legendary figures. So I'm just thinking, like, what sort of ideas have you got going forward?
Well, we've had mock-ups done of the mural, and it looks amazing. Obviously, I'll share them closer to the time, but the mural looks amazing. I'm sure everyone will love it. It's not, obviously, I was saying this to Michelle, the other person involved in Kit It Out, I've got the whole of the Everton fans on my back here, so if I mess this up, I'll never be able to walk in the city again. But the mural's going to be good, and there's loads of buildings in the city centre with walls that are just blank and stuff like that. And I think other European countries and South American countries have got loads of murals to their favourite players and favourite teams. It's like a religion there. So I don't know why we can't fill the walls. I mean, some Everton fans are not into it. Some Liverpool fans are not into it. They don't see it as a thing that should be doing. But surely brightening up a wall with a mural to an Everton legend, or like Liverpool fans do in Liverpool legends, is better than staring at a blank wall at the end of the day.
Yeah, 100%. I would agree with that. And I think from just a practical perspective, obviously the city is so sort of heavily influenced by football, and it's like deeply ingrained within the culture, as you say, within the city centre. There are sorts of places that spring to mind. When you were going into this originally, did you have any specific locations around town in mind?
No, well, we've got people who are looking out for spaces now. So the artists we've asked to do it, they've got spots. what the next step is, where to go, and how you go about putting a mural up there. So we've got people spotting it out, but we've got no ideas at the minute. All it is I want it to be in the city centre or close to the city centre, because it's okay in L4 putting a mural there, which is all good, and that's where Goodison is, and the old lady's been there for many, many years, and there's been some great games there. I used to live there myself on County Road. I've been to many games there, but we need to widen it. And Liverpool, the city centre, is known for the Beatles and Liverpool and Everton, and we are, you know what I mean, the most successful footballing city in England still. We've won all them trophies together. In the 70s and 80s, we were doing FA Cup finals with each other, sitting next to each other, singing together Merseyside when they started the match. So I think we should just fill the city centre with Liverpool and Everton murals.
Yeah, definitely. And that's an interesting point for you to raise, in that, like, obviously now I think social media cultures almost played its hand in creating that sort of binary divide where we are pretty much at each other's throats a lot. But you talk about that that legendary cup final in the 80s, where both players, where both sets of players ended up getting a picture together, all sorts of intermingling, which is a very iconic photo. And what we've seen, unfortunately, over the past couple of months, since obviously Liverpool's success in winning the league and winning the Champions League the season before, is we've seen a very much sort of like childish tit for tat in, Liverpoolians vandalising Everton landmarks, and Evertonians vandalising Liverpool landmarks, and whatnot. Do you think what you're aiming for will help deter that sort of behaviour? And do you hope it will, a more equal representation in both Everton and Liverpool within the city centre will go a long way?
Possibly. I don't think what I personally is going to do is going to deter it all, and every Liverpool fan and Everton fan are going to shake hands and hug each other every game. But if Everton are starting, as we know, we're waiting on a couple of signings now. We've got a decent manager in my eyes, so maybe we can start getting to where we should be. If Everton can start being successful, and with Liverpool's success, maybe it'll start where you're talking about who's going to win the league this year or who's going to win the cup this year, instead of who's going to win the derby type of thing. I mean, my dad's a Liverpool fan. He used to go to the match with my uncle. He's an Everton fan, and they used to go to the match together, and then they'd talk about it afterwards. I think it doesn't help with all this tit for tat and stuff like that, because at the end of the day, the city's been under massive pressure. You know what I mean? Government-wise, we've had Thatcher, we've had Hillsborough, where we've all come together. So I don't know why we've took this path now, because I know for a fact if something happened tomorrow in Liverpool that involves Liverpool and Everton fans, they'd all stick together again and we come together as one, like we always do. So tit for tat's going to happen. It's rivalry. Sometimes it's friendly rivalry. Sometimes it's just a bit of nonsense. But as long as we can maybe make it a professional rivalry where we're going at each other's throats of who's going to win trophies, instead of, you know what I mean, who's going to win this and who's going to win one derby and who's signed who's done this, you haven't won this. You know what I mean? It's just a bit childish, really. I just want us to see that we're all from the same city and we've got two decent clubs. It's very rare you get two clubs so close to each other in a city like this. So we might as well let it flourish instead of trying to kill it off by doing, obviously, the vandalism and all that stuff.
Yeah, I'd second that. And I mean, I've been living in Manchester for the last few years, and it's really been interesting to see. Obviously Manchester United have tailed off since Sir Alex Ferguson left, but they still have been picking up trophies. And during that period, I'd say early 2010s and what have you, it was that sort of professional rivalry where they were often neck and neck going for titles. And obviously I wasn't around in 60s, 70s or 80s, but I'm really envious of those people that got to see both Merseyside clubs, both of the biggest Merseyside clubs being the prime contenders in the country. As you say, you outlined rightly there, we are very much a developing football club at the moment. And I think one of the flagship representations of that is the fact that we are undergoing the move to Bramley-Moore Dock, where the building for the new stadium is, fingers crossed, going to start at the start of 2021. And I would honestly think, maybe with what you're doing in wanting to get an Everton mural up, is sort of laying the foundations for the city centre to become a new sort of hub for Everton, if that makes sense, if you know what I'm saying. Like, as a real sort of showcase, as you rightly said, there's examples throughout L4 and around Goodison, and they're going to obviously have the legacy project there once we have moved. But I feel like this is the start of making town as it is, a real centre for Everton. And as far as your inspirations and the ideas of who exactly you wanted to get up there, of that Everton mural, what periods within the club's history have you been mostly influenced by?
Well, obviously, I'm too young to know the Holy Trinity and the players like that and Dixie D, and obviously you learn about them as you grow older. But just players who have stuck with us and really give it all. You know what I mean? We've had players who have joined us from clubs and then they've been with us until the end of their careers, type of thing. And you just remember players who've given everything. They've had chances to move to other places. They've had chances for this, chances for that, and they've still stayed even when we haven't been playing as good. So the mural, we had a little vote on our page to see what people would like, who players would like to see. Would you like to see the old legends, or would you like to see the players who are with us now? And it was a vote of a mix. So we're just going to involve a mix of players all together who's played for Everton, and hopefully the fans will like what we're going to do.
Nice. I like the concept of that. It does seem pretty cool. Any names that you can throw in there for us to get the radio going?
No, I think Neville Southall's going to be on it. That's one of the names. I'll let you think about the other names who's going to be with him, but I think Big Nev's going to be on, and we've discussed it with him, and yeah, he's happy to go with it, and he's chose whatever. So he's going to be on it, but there's 3 others, and we'll obviously reveal them as time gets closer to the target that we need to get.
Nice. Really looking forward to it. And in regards to, as you say there, we're in a real sort of strange period in our history. Obviously, we have been starved of success, and when you look back now, I mean, obviously we've had the recent retirement of Leighton Baines, and that still sort of kind of stings a little bit, in that most people know full well he could have gone on to be a player that accumulated, honours all over Europe, European honours. When Manchester United come calling for him, he stayed loyal, and he could have left and gone on to win things. In your estimation, would you consider the likes of Leighton Baines and Everton legend and in consideration for something like this?
Yeah, I'd put Leighton Baines. I mean, what you need to do as a legend, if your club isn't as successful at the time to winning trophies, then you've still got legends who are playing for you, who have given you it all too thick and thin. You've rejected moves to other clubs where they could have played European football, won Champions Leagues, won leagues. So I think if you've played for a club for so long and you've stuck with them until you've retired, I think that makes you a legend. Obviously not someone who's sat on the bench for 500 games for a certain team, and that doesn't make it a legend. I think his interaction with fans and all the games he's played, the goals he's scored, the offers he's had to move, you know what I mean? So, yeah, I'd put Leighton Baines in that category, of course, yeah.
Nice. I mean, you mentioned there we've got these 3 imminent signings. It feels like everybody's been sitting on Twitter.
That's it. I've got Sky Sports News on just above me now, seeing.
Waiting for it for the end of the day. Obviously, we're waiting for the signing of Alan, James Rodriguez and Decore. A lot of people, I mean, I'm hesitant to say, but a lot of people do think this may be the solution to Everton's midfield issues over the past couple of years. I think obviously at the back end of last season, it was blaringly obvious that the problems that need fixing were that midfield. For Carlo Ancelotti to basically recruit an entirely new midfield of contacts that he's made within football. Do you think maybe one day we'll be seeing something paying respects to Carlo Ancelotti in his tribute to Everton Football Club? What do you think he needs to do?
Well, we're starved for trophies. I mean, we need to start getting trophies. I know we're not gonna sign these 3 players in midfield and then from this last season, the top of the league. That's just not going to happen at all. You know what I mean? But he's building foundation. He's building his players. He's buying players. I mean, James Rodriguez. There's no way we would have got James Rodriguez without Ancelotti. That's pretty fair to say because players want to play for Ancelotti. He's managed most successful teams in the world. But it's a foundation, and obviously he's got a plan. He's here for a good few years. So obviously every transfer window, we can keep backing him with the players he needs. Then I'm sure we'll win trophies under him. He's got the guidance. I mean, players respect him. I'm pretty positive we'll win some cups soon. If not, I'll be slated again. So either way, it's a win-win.
Fingers crossed, mate. I would absolutely love that. And before we move on to kit it out, you've obviously, you've developed experience within the realm of these sorts of social projects, if you know what I mean, and these initiatives and these campaigns. I checked before the podcast, and you're ever so close to hitting the halfway mark on the 5K, funding goal. For the people that are donating, obviously, collaborating with the likes of artists and designers, it's obviously an interesting experience. Where does the money go, and how is that invested for a project like this?
Well, obviously, with the artists, they work through all day, through whatever. They've got the materials, you've got cherry pickers, you've got just to pay their staff. Obviously, there's a few of them. You've just got loads of stuff all rolled into one big thing. And then at the end of it, they give us a final, because we're going off the one that they done with Liverpool, and that cost around the same region. So we're going off materials, paint, cherry pickers, hire, just stuff like that, wages, and then their time, really. So that's where all it goes. I mean, if people want to look at the Liverpool ones and see how good that is, or go on the wall, they're called mural walls. So if they want to go on their page and see the things that they've done before, I think they'll know that it's money well spent if they want to donate to it. And again, if they don't, they can still come down when it's done and bring the kids and obviously take pictures, because it's for them. It's not anyone's mural. It's for the people who support Everton in the city of Liverpool or far wide other places.
Yeah, most definitely. I'd echo that, and I'll share the link to the page in the description below. Just to round up on this segment, just time span wise, I know we're still in the early days of it, really, but how long before? I mean, it sounds like we're talking about Bramley Moor Dock, but how long before you can we'll start to see this thing come to life?
Well, obviously, we're halfway now. It's been, what are we on? What day is it? Saturday. So it's been Friday. It's been 6 days since it started, and we've got halfway. So I can't say when it's going to get to the target, but we've got the picture already scaled up, ready to go. We're looking for walls now. So I think if the target gets reached in the next week, so many weeks, or maybe next month, whatever, we're ready to go. It's just waiting on getting donations in now. And I know people are struggling right now with furlough and COVID and all that. So I'm not expecting people to put all the money in, but whoever donates, who can donate, it's much appreciated. I've donated myself. My girlfriend's donated. All the people I know personally have donated. So it's just seeing when we get the target. I mean, it's not going to be something where I'm expecting us to get £5,000 within such and such a time, because people are struggling. So it's just the waiting game, really, but it will be done, and Everton fans will have a mural in the city. I can guarantee that.
Fantastic, and I know most definitely they are looking forward to it. Now, you touched on something there which I feel like is a great transition into kit it out. and the charity there. In that, I think if 2020 has proved anything, it's how fragile the economy is, and just what it takes, and how suddenly families can fall on hard times. I remember seeing the articles in the Echo about Kit It Out and its mission, really. But could you tell the people what the story behind Kit It Out was, and its motivations?
Well, Kit It Out, it was started September or August last year, when me and Michelle, who's involved in Kit It Out also, she was collecting for school uniforms for kids who couldn't afford uniforms. And I'd just come back from football training with my mates. Now it's just like, what would be a good idea if we can get football kits for kids who can't afford it? Because there was kids playing. Maybe they could afford a kit, I don't know, but they were playing in the school uniform on the pitch next to me, and I was thinking, I know there's poverty out there, obviously, so I was thinking, why don't we start this thing off? And then from there, we started it off, and people just latched onto it, and people could resonate with football, and also having a kit of their own to play with, and also poverty. So it was like three things all in one, trying to help each other out in a football, because football brings a lot of people together with the same social consciousness, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I mean, like, I think that's a sort of a unified, sort of unilateral thing across football, is that, as you say, like, people from different cultural backgrounds and upbringings, that can all be put down for 90 minutes or however long it is that people sort of share and enjoy football as a sport. As I say, as a fourth thing there, really, do you think the passion for football in the city is another thing that's helped develop the charity into what it is now?
Yeah, well, people from Liverpool are normally kind. They normally give back to people who haven't got as much as they have. They know what it's like to be under the cosh, you know what I mean? They know what it's like to be sometimes stuck. But as I say, if you throw kids in a room of loads of different religions, different backgrounds, different places where they're from, and try and get them to communicate, it would be hard, because there's a bit of, you know what I mean, nervousness about them. But if you put them on a footy pitch and put a ball in the middle and then walk away, you can guarantee they're all going to be playing football. And that's it. Football brings it together. The passion in the city is just, I mean, you can see it every day. You can have banter with the postman about the recent matches. You can just walk along the streets and someone will be talking about football. You'll hear something, you'll see something. Football is in the city no matter what, and there's no way of getting away from that. And I don't think anyone would want to either.
No, 100%. When obviously you say that in the summer of last year it was launched, what were the initial stages of getting donations to be passed in? Was it an entirely sort of online based thing?
Yeah, well, it started on Facebook. We had a Facebook group set up, and I was just messaging people. I've started a new initiative off to do, and then we started getting donations in, and someone said it'd be a better platform for this type of stuff on Twitter. So then we moved to Twitter, and then within weeks, obviously, we had players like Southall and Carragher and players like that who were just retweeting our stuff, because obviously they could resonate again. And then from there, it was just the living room, front room was just chocker of kits everywhere from England, Italy, France, Spain. I mean, there was kits in there I've never seen from Argentinian clubs and stuff like that. And then taking them to the centres, we got to the centres and they were telling us stories of, oh, that's amazing, because there's a certain person who comes here who hasn't got a kit to play in, or another kid who's just got into the school football team, but his mum doesn't want to take him because there's nothing he can wear, and she just wants to wear a new uniform because you'll mess that up, and then they haven't got the money to afford a new uniform. So you learn so many stories from these community centres, and it was just, you could see people were like, every time when we come, just their eyes were lighting up, because they were thinking, oh my God, now people can have their own football kits, and it was amazing, really. I mean, some people say like, oh, this does it have to be new kits? Does it have to be this? You could give a Liverpool kit from 3 years ago to a kid who hasn't got nothing, and he'll wear it for as much as he can before his mum and dad tell him he has to take it off. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. And I was going to say, you touched on it there, the endorsements of the likes of Neville Southall and Jamie Carragher. I read in one of the articles in the Echo that the involvement of Carragher really went a long way into developing the initiative into what it is today. Just how much did, I don't want to call it celebrity endorsements, because they're not really celebrities, are they? They are still deeply rooted in the communities and understand what it is to be, to be from here. But what involvement did those sort of endorsements do to develop the charity?
If they get the message out there, I mean, they just the platform you've got is just immense sometimes, and you can get. I mean, you don't have to. I'll message them and say, any chance of you can share this, and they'll just share it straight away with Carragher and Neville. They don't have to, but at least, you know what I mean. You can know that something's going on in the city, and they like to give back. So, I mean, there's been so many players who've endorsed. There's been so many people who've endorsed. I mean, people share our stuff now who you're just like, obviously, where'd you find the time to do it? I mean, someone just shared that post called Graham Hunter, who works at Sky Sports News. He's just a Spanish. I mean, they obviously resonate on what's going on, and they want to get something done, and they want to see things happening like this. I mean, we got kits off of Roma. I mean, you know what I mean? It's incredible. You don't expect anything like that. AS Roma messenger is saying, we've got some kits to send you. It's just a crazy thing that everyone just jumps on board with, and it's just gone from higher and higher and higher, and now this is where we are now.
Fantastic. And a little mention there, hats off to Roma. There's several things that they do socially, which is absolutely brilliant. They're really a socially conscious club, so top marks to them there. As you say there, this is something that, no matter how much the charity develops, as you say, there's still a demand for it, and there still always will be people that can benefit from initiatives such as this, and being able to give football kits to underprivileged kids or whatnot. So could you just outline for the people there what they can do to get involved, and just sort of give a shout out to the community centres that are involved?
Well, the way to get involved is, if you've got any kits that you're not using no more, get them to us. I mean, we've got no funding at all. We don't get funded. We pay to get to places off our own backs, it's okay. We're giving kits out to kids. That's perfect. We don't need any funding. Obviously, things like the donations to get new kits and donations to get the murals, that all comes from the public. That, you know what I mean? We've got no funding at all. So, all you need to do is, if you've got kits in the house that the kids don't use no more. I mean, last year's kit your kid, like, if he's got the new kit, they might not use it ever again. But I know a fact, I can find a kid who will cherish that kit until it's ripped and he can't wear it no more. I mean, without the public and people sharing our stuff, we wouldn't exist. It's all down to them. You know what I mean? I've donated one kit to Kit It Out, but we've give thousands out up to now. So that all comes from the public themselves in the city.
Yeah, and do they go to the community centres to drop that off, or is it something?
Yeah, well, they all come to us and we sort them out. When I say sort them out, me fiance is better at sorting them out. I just like to see what kits have come in and who's on the back of them and stuff like that. But they're all sorted out, and we go to places like there's the Rhys Jones Centre, Tiber Centre, there's L6 Centre, there's the Bridge, there's so many. There's the Unity, there's Hype in the Wirral. There's just so many places. I mean, it's hard to even remember them all, really. There's so many places that we go to. And they're the real heroes, the people who are in these community centres, because with the cuts and not getting any funding, they're working on skeleton staff. So there's people there who are working on their own when you've got like 50 kids and they're just keeping the community centres going. And if the community centre shut down, I mean, that's the end of it.
Yeah, and again, I feel like that's another very important social message to get across, that through these hard times, you know, included in this message is, you know, the NHS staff and the health workers, but these people who work within social institutions. I mean, I know people that have worked in like primary school throughout the lockdown while people were working from home. You know, people were still having to go into schools and work in schools. So again, it's just something to take away from this, is that they are, you know, the real heroes from
Absolutely, yeah.
real hard times that we've been through these last couple of months. That I look to be, you know, continuing to going through with the, you know, the sort of announcements of recession and all that sort of, you know, that dark stuff. But again, things like yourselves are shining lights and examples of what people can do through hard times such as this. And I want to say, Paul, it's been great to talk to you, and you are more than welcome to come back on when any closer to getting that Everton mural up, and we can, you know, have a look at it and discuss it further.
Okay, thank you very much for having me on.
You're welcome, mate. Take care.
Okay, bye now.
Brilliant. I'll tag you in everything when it goes up and get it out there, as I say.
No worries. Pleasure speaking to you. Thank you very much.